Welcome back to the Law and Crime Network. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Aaron Keller. I'll be with you for the afternoon hours as we march through the day in court. That's how the prosecutor set up this case. Let's bring our panelists in now. Rossi is a former federal prosecutor in Washington, D.C. Roger Foley is an attorney in California. So, Roger, when we hear the state sort of characterize what the defendant said in these various films and documentaries, it sounds like the state has a pretty strong case. That's the state's view of things.
Yeah, the state definitely has that view. I'm just curious how he's not a witness in his own case if he's doing the interview. So I guess maybe Gene can expound on that.
Well, that's exactly what the defense was trying to turn around and say here. Wait a minute, Mr. Prosecutor, you can't prosecute this case if we're going to have to call you as a witness or if the state is going to have to call you as a witness. So, Gene, should this guy be prosecuting the case?
Well, I got to tell you, that is a very tough issue. Oftentimes I met with witnesses, but I always had one or two witnesses, detectives, agents, so that if we ever had to bring out any inconsistencies, I'd call them. But here he is asking the questions on video, a recording. So you're absolutely right. There is a potential conflict, and he is erring not on the side of caution. He's part of the prosecution. But in his favor, though, what are you going to cross and say the video didn't work? That's really not you. That's not your voice. There's really not much to cross if he's on a video just being recorded.
So ultimately, it's a statement that the defendant makes, and the jury gets to hear the entire thing go by. And probably a professional quality recording we're talking about here, so things certainly would be audible. So, Roger, is the prosecutor dancing a dangerous ethical line, but he squeaks by this time? Is that your ultimate conclusion?
You know, I think so. I mean, if he's ultimately the one asking the questions, then why isn't there someone else prosecuting the case? I mean, they can obviously call him as a witness, but it seems that he's intertwined in this case a little bit too much. I've never seen the situation occur before.
Well, you know, the more we watch the press get involved with these cases, perhaps we'll watch it go this way in other cases. But I think you're right. It's relatively novel. Let's listen to how the prosecutor explained the actual mechanics of the crime that's alleged. Prosecutors in California say this killing happened. They say they've got the right defendant here, and they outline the reasons why. Let's turn to our panel yet again. Roger P. Foley in California, Gene Rossi in Washington, D.C. So, Gene, the state seems to have a pretty solid theory here that the victim basically let someone in who she knew and trusted, and that's why we don't have defense wounds. What do you make of the theory?
I think it's a fantastic theory. And he brought up, Mr. Lewin, the prosecutor, brought up something that I didn't have much in my trials or in my supervised cases, is habit evidence. And at trial, I can just see a couple witnesses saying that Susan Berman did not let people in who were strangers. If they did let somebody in, she always took care of the dogs. And if she brought somebody to the back of her house, that's probably somebody with whom she has a very close relationship. And the punchline is she didn't suffer any pain. The good news is, as a victim, she probably died instantly because it was execution style from behind.
Roger P. Foley, you're the defense attorney. You're in California. You're watching this go by. Is there a solid defense here for Robert Durst?
Well, the whole case is circumstantial, so the state just made their proffer of what they think the facts are going to outline. There's some issues. Obviously, that handwriting is going to be an issue between the two letters. I don't know. I think it's a defendable case because they don't have direct evidence that's going to prove his guilt. They do have that statement during that show, but is that someone, the statement of an older man who talks to himself in the bathroom? What is he saying? Look, do the facts look like there's a circumstantial case? They do. Whether he's going to be convicted or not, I don't know at this point.
And as Gene Rossi said, that habit, routine, and practice evidence can come in, if I'm not mistaken. Gene, I'm in Rule 406 territory, I think, right? Okay, well, I'm just making sure that I live up to all the monikers that you give me on Twitter there, Gene. I had to make sure I was on the top of my game here. So we're going to take a break here on the Law and Crime Network. We're going to come back with more in the Robert Durst case out of California, looking back at that critical pretrial hearing that we've been watching because key evidence decisions were made by judges in those hearings. There were different judges at different points. Interesting. And we're waiting for another live hearing to start in about 15 minutes.